Do question number 9. This is from the SAT number 10. This is the May 2017 US QAS test. And let's jump in. So 9 says, based on the passage, the reason the narrator was amazed that the Swede had called him Skip was most probably that the narrator something. And here, the first thing we should probably notice is this right here, the based on the passage part. So this is like a normal tag, or a pretty common tag that will appear at the front of a question. Excuse me. And so we have based on the passage. Sometimes it's according to the passage. Sometimes it's in the passage. And basically what these signal or signify to us is that the answer for this question here is going to be found in one specific sentence within the text. So I haven't really found too many exceptions to this. There's a series of it. I'll do a video later on it so you can learn to recognize when these questions appear. I mean, I know in general for this test what we want to make sure that we're doing is always going back to the passage and really mostly just looking for one sentence to have us answer the question. But for these, but it's not always the case, right? We have big picture questions, other types of questions that sometimes require us to know more than just the individual. Sometimes they require us to know more comprehensively the passage and not just look for an individual text. But for these types of questions, 100% we should know that there's a specific sentence that we're going to be using. So anyways, for 9, that's what we need to find. We got to find a specific sentence that will tell us why the narrator was amazed that the Swede had called him Skip. And before we go back to the passage, there's a couple of things that we can do to help us sort of localize or identify where this text is going to be. So the first thing we can do is note that question 8 references lines 55 to 56, while question 10 references lines 66. So this tells us that it's more than likely that our text will come between lines 55 and line 66. Not for sure, not 100%, but more than likely that it will be the case. And then the other thing is that this is just a question that comes towards the end of the passage. So even if it's not really between those lines, we should expect that it's going to be towards the end of the passage as opposed to towards the beginning. So let's go back. We can start by looking between, here's 55, 56, and here's 66, right? So maybe we look in this paragraph here, and sure enough, here it goes. I know I can't believe it, right? And here he's talking about basically the Swede calling him Skip. And then he says, and I did feel almost as wonderfully singled out as I had the one time before, at the age of 10, when the Swede had got so personal as to recognize me by the playground nickname I'd acquired because of 2 grades I skipped in school. So this is really him being like, I can't believe it. I'm amazed because he felt what? He felt singled out, just like he had when he was younger, when the Swede had recognized him using his nickname. So the answer choice that is going to be correct is the one that sort of matches this, right? That basically tells us that the narrator was amazed at being called Skip because the Swede sort of recognized him and gave him that acknowledgement of his nickname. So then we can go down to the answer choices here, and this says that the narrator was amazed that the Swede had called him Skip because he thought that adults should refer to each other by their formal names. And that's not really an answer choice here. This would be correct if basically the narrator was upset. He's like, well, why are you calling me Skip? We should just talk to each other like normal, like adults. But he's actually really honored. He's really excited that the Swede called him Skip. He feels singled out. And it doesn't really say anywhere that the narrator thinks adults should refer to each other by their names. He seems pretty happy to be called Skip, so A is going to be wrong. B says that he still felt lucky to receive personal attention from the Swede. And this is a pretty good answer choice because we have a lot of things that it captures a lot that was in the text we looked at. One is still felt lucky, which basically implies that in the past he felt that he was lucky, right, for being singled out, which is true. And then it's about receiving personal attention, right, wonderfully singled out from the Swede. So this really does match the text that we chose, so this is a good one. Let's keep A for now. C says he had not been called Skip since he was 10. So this could be true, this is possible, but nowhere in the passage, and especially in the lines that we looked at, does it say that he hadn't been called Skip since he was 10. All it says is that he was amazed that the Swede sort of recognized him using that personal nickname, so let's get rid of C. D says that the narrator is amazed because he was not aware that the Swede had ever known his nickname. And this is wrong because we actually know that when he was 10, the Swede already called him Skip, so the Swede did know his nickname back in the past, so D is wrong as well. Which is going to leave us with answer choice B for our correct answer for this question here. Not this question here, for question number 9.